Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Heaven on Earth. I'm Michael, the Leo Mystic. This is where I channel the sacred guidance for this astrological week of the 24th of May until the 31st. And it's about to be a powerful changing of our lives kind of week with a full moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius, followed by a Mercury retrograde in Gemini on Venus, and just like all the other aspects that I'm about to explain. So, are you ready? I mean, we're never really ready for a eclipse, right? So, and it is a total lunar eclipse, which makes it even more powerful. Before I go there, I am currently in France, and so I'm on a not really holiday, but my wife is gonna come and do a retreat here. So since she is pregnant, right, I'm obviously guiding her or just helping her with all these things. And the reason I say this is because this is what Gemini is all about. Let me just put you here for a second. But just Gemini, all right, is all about travels. Gemini is all about going from here to there, and there's like really not, a lot of stability. Gemini is about change, about mutable, about adapting to change. And so, we got the North Node there, we got now the Sun there, we got Mercury, we got Venus there. Gemini energy is very prevalent, and obviously Gemini is all about studying. It is about exploring in the mind and on your, just focusing on our close environment. And there is some nervousness that is involved with it. And I put myself here because I'm currently in the chiropractic, how do you say that? Like practice or, place where they treat people, like the treatment room. And this is the human nervous system. And a solar eclipse, is very shocking when we got Uranus squaring Saturn on, in Taurus, and we got Mercury retrograde on Venus, and that is the nervous system. So there is it's again, the nervous system is constantly being reset, right? Remember the past week I talked about the deep inner knowing, because there is a lot of Neptunian, Piscean energy that is upgrading us, that is coming in. And we are processing that information with the brain, right? And that is what the nervous system is. Like, it's the brain and it's the spinal cord and it's all our senses, and Uranus in Taurus is buzzing energy. That's our nervous system. And so, this Mercury retrograde happening in the sign of Gemini is kind of integrating all that information. And the reason I'm also here, is because it says, nature needs no help, just no interference, right? So this is that thing too, where it's the humanity or humanness or the human nature versus the artificial energy, right? And so obviously we're at this very point where we are, are we going to integrate artificial intelligence into our life? And I mean, it already happened with technology and all these things, but are we going to put it into our body? And that's the thing, is it's like, this is that full moon solar eclipse in Sagittarius, what it is all about, really. Because Sagittarius is about philosophizing, and it is about understanding nature, and about really, with the South Node there are beliefs that we have to let go, you and I, that no longer serve us, and it come to a certain kind of fruition. But the fact that there's a lunar eclipse on that Sagittarian south node makes Jupiter important, which just came into Pisces. There's no coincidence that it just came into Pisces. Pisces is all about, it's God, it's spirituality, and that makes the combination of Sagittarius with Neptune in Pisces and with Jupiter in Pisces is religion. Because religion, tries to religare, tries to bind all the different belief systems together into one belief system. And that's what they tried with, obviously all the religions that we know today. But there's obviously the system, and then there's how you use the system. And that's what the South Node tells us, is that there is karma, there's things that, we have to clear, and that full moon solar eclipse or lunar eclipse is going to help us with that. But it's it can be painful, or, it can be beneficial, depending on, obviously, always, again, nature. Nature needs no interference, it needs no help, just no interference. And that's what this Neptune, energy, Piscean energy, which, by the way, Mercury, Venus, squaring Neptune during this whole week. Do you really think, Gemini with science interfering Neptune, the illusion of creating new realities of, and because of it, this illusion meant oh shit, I believe this, I believe that this worked, and I believe that was the way to go, but I have to really find out that that's no longer true. And that's a disillusionment of putting your faith into something, how many things you've grown out of when you were younger. For instance, the whole thing of Santa Claus is a good example. You used to believe in Santa Claus because they told you. And you can say, oh yeah, that's, I was a child, I was naive. So, don't you think that might be still true today? Because what you'll learn as a kid, you're going to take that with you the rest of your life. And so just all the things are on the table. What do you believe about the earth? Is it flat or is it round? Obviously, there's more proof that the earth is round, but have you ever seen it? Right? And yes, you can say, well, yes, of course, there's all these scientists that talk about it. There's all these pictures, but, that's still, and this is the whole thing of doing things together in the Aquarian age and being able to trust others. But, if we have to keep putting our trust into big tech and the government and all these other institutions, which is what Capricorn is, which is where Pluto is, and which has to be destroyed, and which is what Catholicism is, by the way, as a religion, where we have put our faith in. And now we're doing that with science. We're doing that with, oh yeah, of course, they've, there is this new virus, and they have found a new vaccine, and it is all a story, right? And you I don't know where you are with that point, and it doesn't really matter, to a point that, oh yeah, let's go get okay, and yes, I do believe what they're saying, but is there a way to do your own research, to do your own facts, or do you just have to trust? And I'm not saying at all that something is right, something is wrong, but it is that whole thing of wow, we are, we're in uncertainty. And that's really what life is all about as well, right? So, and that's where we have to recognize that the left brain, the facts, the knowing, can only reach as far, because at some point we do have to put our, in a way, trust, our faith into a higher power. But the problem becomes with North in Sagittarius and Jupiter in Pisces, that we put our trust into those storytellers that, the question is, how genuine, how honest are they, right? So then the invitation here is, with this full moon, solar and lunar eclipse in Sagittarius, it is about a belief that we have to face that is no longer true, but at the same time, Jupiter in Pisces, which is about exploring new belief systems and about opening our intuition. Jupiter is squaring the nodes. Technically not the nodes, but Jupiter is squaring that lunar eclipse. It is squaring the sun, it is squaring the moon. Thus also, in a way, the nodes. So this is something that has to happen. And Jupiter in Pisces is belief systems. It is spirit. It is a newborn spirituality. And that's why, this is about an affirming yes. This is about openness. This is about, just allowing yourself to open up to new ideas and new belief systems. But you can't do it in a Sagittarian way, which is like putting your belief and you're just like philosophizing and exploring and escaping in a way and just like, oh my God, it's all going to be fine. But in a Gemini way of Sun and, Gemini is about, okay, here's what we have to focus on. We have to focus on facts, on our close environment. But then still Mercury station, so which is all like, it's a meditative kind of state where we have to like block out. And that's not really blocking out, but it is an ability to, like Pisces, to meditate and to have a neutrality. Because the whole square between Moon, Sun, and Jupiter, like that tension that happens there of like naivete and illusions and dreams and, just like, oh, it's all fine. Yeah, this is the solution. God is helping us, the government, right? And this is God and governments and tech companies playing God and scientists playing God and saying, we have the solution for you. You have to put your trust and your faith in us. And so this is dogma. We have to release dogma. That's what it's about. And that counterpoint is, Virgo. Can we discriminate? Can we decide for ourselves? Can we, can we clean it up? Clean up the shit that no longer is true. And that's where Mars in Cancer is also squaring that that lunar eclipse. And Mars in Cancer is the self. And it has to happen, It is squaring that eclipse, and it is about your gut instinct. It is about protecting your self-image. And in a way, it is saying, on a very, 3D level, we are going to be challenged in our own self-image, and we're going to be challenged in our security and our safety. And there is, governments and God, in a way, if we put them as God, because we're putting them on a pedestal, we are finding that we cannot trust them anymore. So we lose, if we keep putting our trust in it, we kind of lose our, it's the rug pulled underneath our feet. So for those people who have put their trust in there, they're about to discover fuck. This is not longer true, and they really realize it, and then they're gonna go into anger, and this is fear, rage, all gonna come up. If, and that happens in many areas, even those areas where you think that you're all oh yeah, I'm in touch with God, and I have my spirituality in order, well, let's see what God has to say about this, what the universe has to say about this, how well you are on track. And I do believe that there is a higher good. And, here's another thing. I don't know too much about it, but apparently, and we can question the validity of, nowadays Santos Bonacci, but he is a genius and he has contributed so much to astrology. But he was talking about the 26th of May in the Aztec calendar being the time of the sixth sun, beginning on the 26th of May. So that is spiritually with Jupiter in Pisces, squaring the nodes, right? And with so much Sagittarian quality to it. This is about, a new spirituality being born and a new downloads and even deeper inner knowing. It kind of like places that into a position, and it's a new beginning of humanity. So these are all just elements that when you hear the messages, they come from different sources, they kind of say the same thing. And with Pluto in Capricorn now going retrograde, with Saturn now going retrograde, Uranus is squaring Saturn. So the people and the unpredictability is having more momentum than the government, than the responsibilities, than, the authority. So the authorities is like, oh shit, lost. And it's like the people are winning in a way. It's also, just so many planets passing the nodes now. Venus passing the nodes. Mercury passed the nodes. Like Mars, Venus, Mercury, the Sun, almost passing the nodes. This is like, we're all coming out. It's all coming out in the open, all coming out in the air. And so people really that put their faith and their trust into, dear God state, or, God, the government, like the government. Isn't that interesting, actually, that I'm thinking about it? Government. But they're like, wherever we're putting our power away, it's like, shoop, all, the rug pulled underneath our feet. And that's the feeling that I'm getting. The beautiful thing, though, let me just talk a little bit more about that. Mars in Cancer is about boundaries. So in one way, Jupiter in Pisces says, explore new belief systems, keep your mind open, keep your crown chakra open. But Mars in Cancer, trust your gut. And that polarity of that Jupiter in Pisces is discernment, Virgo. With Mars in Cancer, this is boundaries, as in like, make sure you protect your integrity, make sure you protect your own self, like your home, your soul's roots, It's kind of, in a way, some healing there. But the interesting thing is that since there is, the sun is very close to the North Node, right? So to live your own truth, to speak your own truth, to do your own research is where we have to focus on, and to connect, to talk to one another. And with Mercury retrograde, then, practically 4 days later or 3 days later, Sunday at 12, is it Sunday? Yeah, Sunday at 12:34, like 34 minutes into the new day, into Sunday, Mercury goes retrograde on Venus. So, which people do you have to trust? Can you trust them? Reflect on your relationships. How honest have you been? How much communication have you done with them? It's not the only thing. Like this Mercury retrograde, obviously the whole traditional scheme of especially with Gemini, we have to really talk about not messages, messages not being sent, or miscommunications, or, just people forgetting to communicate, forgetting to store the information on their phone, missing appointments, missing exits. Yes, for sure. Like, and now too with travels, okay, because Gemini is travels. So there's so much happening with travel. So if you have to really travel, you really do it consciously. Yeah, what's also happening that day, you know, or what the chart is, at least for the Mercury retrograde, you know, it's a Capricorn ascendant, so this is like you have to make sure that you're in integrity with yourself. And we got Pluto in the first house. This is, you're gonna transform. Saturn is also in the first house and in the second house. So this is a check-in with yourself. This is you feeling restricted. This is, you know, you feeling as if you're like going through this transformation with Mars opposing in Cancer. These are other people that might like manipulate you, control you, and that you have to like put boundaries on. But you as well, like there's this fear because the moon is conjunct Pluto. There's a death of your, like your past, of your safety. We're gonna feel very insecure. We're gonna feel very unsafe. This is the reset, and there is you know, a signature of rape, of our bodies being, you know, mistreated, maltreated. There's mental, emotional manipulation, and we're gonna feel it big time. See it big time. Notice it big time. So this has to do with your own power. Where, like, this is Moon conjunct Pluto is very powerful, very attractive. Like, can you instead allow, you know, your attraction, you know, your emotional power to create your own reality instead of having to control your external environment and put your, you know, your force on that? Instead, be magnetic, be, you know, absorbing, do some soul searching, go deep within. So it's not going to be easy. It is quite intense. These are emotions of fear, of loss, of control, and because we're losing shit, like people losing their shit. And it is squaring the nodes. There's so much karmic energy currently involved, right? So there's that other quote here. It is better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. And the darkness really here is obviously in on your personal level with that moon on Pluto is your own manipulative behavior, your own aggression, you know, your own sexual power and your creativity. And on a very mundane level, it's those people that have a hidden agenda, the elite, and those people in power, right? And our reaction to it, right? It's better to light a candle. Like, how can you be a light in moments of darkness? Not cursing the darkness, because it's like you're alive right now for a reason. There is like that darkness is part of you, right? It's, I hope you can see this, like this is that potential, the circle of potential, and within it is obviously dark and the light, and this is you. This is all you. So we then can light a candle in those moments of darkness, understanding with compassion, instead of Mars opposing Pluto, Mars opposing the moon, acting out of, you know, aggression and curse that darkness. Yeah. So it's going to be an invitation. It's not going to be easy. I know it's not going to be easy. But, you know, Saturn in the chart of that day of the Mercury retrograde is about your self-worth. It's a check-in. And, you know, we have to understand, like, where are we putting our money? Like there's this fear around money that we have. There's this fear around value. And that's the thing. If you know how to create your own reality, you know, that's easy. But and if you just trust yourself, and that's what it's all about. It's a check-in with the self, and it's about self-trust, and it's about understanding that you're fine and that you're okay, and that the unknown is actually a pretty cool place where you can create from. But yeah, I think it's gonna be, these are intense times, but they can be intense in many ways, you know, and it's just really everything is what you make out of it. And in one way, with Mercury and Venus squaring Neptune, this is about surrender. This is about, you know, you can't always figure shit out. And it has to come with certain confusion, with certain illusion. And, you know, this is you double checking. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of miscommunication. And there's a lot of, again, you know, Mercury and Venus in Gemini squaring Neptune is the media, again, controlling, manipulating, and lying to the people and spreading a lot of miscommunication. And because of it, really hard to pinpoint with the left brain what the facts really are. And we're just going to keep in that moment. And so I think the question that we have to ask for this week with the full moon in, you know, the full moon lunar eclipse in Sag, and with Mercury retrograde, this is like, how can we blend the left with the right? How can we blend science and spirituality? How can these two worlds support one another? And how can we not, or how can we avoid to swing always from one extreme to the other, and just understand for once and all that the middle path is the way? You know, this what this whole Gemini thing is too. Like, it's like just seeing both sides. It's seeing the light, it is seeing the dark, and there is that potential of it. So that's what this week's going to bring. And, you know, don't be surprised that there is kind of like this fear of not being in control, and that everything is not always how you want it to go, but that it is about really trusting. Like, if you put something out there, that there's a potential, and that the energetic form will manifest, but it will not be as much in the details as you think that it is. It might be even better. It's probably always for the best, right? So have a beautiful week. And Mercury retrograde is showing us where we have to retrieve, where we have to, you know, process. It's going to help us process information if we truly take the time and to reflect. And that is exactly why I am going on a retreat. And there might not be, oh yeah, there might be, because I'm going on a retreat from Friday to Sunday, and then from Sunday to Friday. So it's to Sunday, from Sunday to Sunday. So it's like 10 days. And that Mercury retrograde period is exactly right on Sunday when, and it's going to last for 2 weeks. So this is a moment to retrieve, to meditate on what is truth for you. Like, where do you still believe that the promised land is somewhere out there? And how can you fact check yourself? You know, there's a certain moment where you have to let go of the left brain, and we have to learn to reintegrate the right brain. And then still, like, these are all, like, this is, the crown chakra has to be open. We have to have the heart, which is the moon, right? and have that intuition. But we also have the Mars in Cancer, trust the gut instinct. And the gut instinct is a danger, is a fear-based thing where it's like, no, right? It's more like a no, or it's more like I have to act now, but it's always cutting something out. Whereas intuition, right, is more integrating. It's integrating all the information. And the crown chakra that is open, right, is not really present as much on earth, but it's like a lot open. So the heart is always obviously the blending between the two. It's like it's and the earth and the spirit. This is only spirit, but the gut instinct is only like based on survival. So when you feel you have to act, it's like I have to leave this behind, or I have to say no and maintain the status quo of myself. So to really work with that and to really understand the difference is key. And that's our invitation for this week with this full moon lunar eclipse. Is it a new beginning? I definitely think it is, and it is something way beyond our control. So prepare for the change, prepare for new downloads, prepare for aligning and knowing the difference between intuition, gut instinct, and yeah, much love. Be well. Bye-bye.